Доброго ранку! Розпочинаємо сьогодні вже 4-ту лекцію нашого навчального курсу «Муніципальні партнерства для європейської інтеграції». Цей курс підготували для вас Cities for Cities в рамках програми Polaris «Підтримка багаторівневого врядування в Україні». Мене звати Марта Супрун, я є експерткою з європейської інтеграції на місцевому рівні. Сьогодні, насправді, поговоримо на дуже важливу тему. І я впевнена, багато з вас, мабуть, що зареєструвалися на цей курс для того, щоб практично зрозуміти не лише, який вплив євроінтеграція буде мати на місцеве самоврядування, але що саме з цим потрібно зробити на місцевому рівні, як розбудувати адміністративні спроможності для реалізації проєктів розвитку із залученням коштів Європейського Союзу. Про це сьогодні поговоримо детальніше з експерткою, яка має надзвичайно широкий і великий досвід роботи з різними європейськими муніципалітетами. Ми поговоримо про різні моделі, як ця адміністративна спроможність може бути збудована всередині муніципалітету, які є основні ролі, на що слід звернути увагу. Наша спікерка теж є англомовною, тому хочу нагадати вам, що ви можете під'єднати функцію синхронного перекладу. Сподіваюся, ви знаєте, як це зробити. На нижньому робочому полі знайдіть, будь ласка, функцію перекладу і оберіть український канал. Також нагадаю вам, що наш курс є сертифікований Національним агентством з питань державної служби. Сьогодні в 11-й годині вам прийде детальна інструкція про те, як можна зареєструватися на цей навчальний курс на порталі управління знаннями НАЦ. А для тих, хто мав якісь певні технічні труднощі, не переживайте, ми всім підтверджуємо реєстрацію, все буде гаразд, ми з вами на зв'язку. So now turning to our today's lecture, who is Tamara Espiniera Guerrero, who is the lecturer at the university in France. This university teaches public servants to be truly European, let's say, and to fulfill all the obligations and build administrative capacity. Tamara is also the expert of the URBACT program, which has recently been open to the applicants and local governance representatives from Ukraine. Tamara, welcome.
Hello, thank you very much for this opportunity. I will try to speak not very fast, but I will make some breaks. So don't be scared. Sound is still working. I'm just making some breaks for the interpreters to work, okay? And I will start with the slide with my presentation, so next. But I want to be very detailed on this because you have already listened to Marta. I will just insist on why I'm here, because when the time came for write a PhD dissertation, my master's professor said, Tamara, speak about your work, because nobody knows the relation of the European cities with the European Union opportunities as you, because you are inside. So my PhD was thought as a guide or as a take away as a lesson for other cities that would want to join the European Union. Sadly, it is written in French, so maybe you cannot consult it, but that's also the reason why I'm here. Okay, thank you. Again, because when I wrote my PhD, I would never imagine that I would have such an opportunity as today. So next presentation, and let's start with the right question. So you will listen to many European Union experts or city diplomacy experts and even consultants on how to find the better opportunities for your cities. And I don't deny that they are experts, but the first expert in European Union opportunities in your city is the mayor, because she knows which is the real need of the city, and that's the right question. Each city will have the personality, the ambitions, the capacities that are their own. So the first question is not how to get European funding. No, why do we need to get European funding? And that was the main discovery of my PhD, because I used to thought that European funding will be easy to get and that everybody would want to go for European opportunities. That's not true. Maybe some cities don't need to go to European funding. So next, let's start with some simplified ways.
Before we proceed, Tamara, you also mentioned here in your slide the concept of urban diplomacy, which is also developed by you. Could you please also explain briefly what it is? Because I truly think that this concept is very interesting and that we actually never thought this way.
Yeah, okay. So let's come back to the other slide, please. I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to go further in theory, but if you invite me, I would jump in. We have city diplomacy. City diplomacy thinks that cities are like states. Imagine the big parties at the embassies in the films of James Bond, okay? So that cities would be interested in the same matters as states. I don't know, solve the hunger problem in Africa. They are interested, but at the end of the day, and that mayors I work with told me, it is the city itself, its needs, how the citizens live that interests the mayor and the council. And we can translate this practical form of viewing the city into urban diplomacy. So we are not in the international negotiations, we are in the day-by-day work of the city council, which can be completed by the international level if we have a specific need that the regional level or the national level does not fulfill. That's the main difference. In city diplomacy, we think global and act local. In urban diplomacy, we think local and act, in urban diplomacy, we think local and act global. In city diplomacy, we think global and act local. Okay, city diplomacy is top-down and urban diplomacy is bottom-up. That is the main theoretical framework of also this presentation and my work. So
thanks a lot. I just wanted you to clarify because you introduced also this term. Now coming back to answering the questions, right? Why we need European projects in the municipality?
Okay, so if we think local and not global, we have to identify if the international level is relevant or not. And here we have some whys. When I explain this to my students, they always tell me, Tamara, but you have a zero level, and it is true. You can have a zero level of interest for the European Union because all your needs are covered. But I guess that if you are here in this course, we are not in the zero level, so I will explain the other three, okay? So you can need just one project that is incomplete, in look for funds or in look for expertise, or but it's just this concrete activity that is alone in the planning. Or you can say, okay, I have 3 priorities. Priority number 3, which is, I don't know, environment, is not covered at regional, national level, so I will go to the European opportunities. Or you can integrate the whole of your strategy and go priority to priority, identifying the international and European opportunities for each of the topics your city is working in. And here you will see the word, I don't know even Ukrainian, but in my English version I put the word mainstream, because mainstream is a very European Union word that you will see in all the call for projects. So you have to mainstream, among other things, to get European funding. So meaning that you are coherent between your local strategy and the international strategy, and that you apply the European principles. So you mainstream the European Union in your activity. So remember this word, okay, mainstream. So how do you identify your strategy? First, as in any strategy, you have to start by your own situation. Okay, which is the starting point, and then look after the 3 whys that we have just described. Okay, and I will speak about 3 indicators that may serve for you to do a quick, thorough analysis of your situation as European funding is concerned. So the first is capacity, and capacity, do not confound it about with the size of the city or with the size of the budget. You will see after that I will present you a very small example, and it is the talent that you have in your city, how the political level is involved. A big city can have a small capacity, okay? The intensity. So how many projects do we need? How many times do we go to Brussels, as an example? How many workshops do we organize online, etc. And the coordination. And for me, this is the most strategic part. Do we need everybody to work at the same time? Can we have separate projects? Do we align with European priorities, or only one program of the European Union is relevant? And how the stakeholders, how the city itself, and not only the council, is involved. Okay? So capacity, intensity, and coordination. Thank you. The first why, only casual. So imagine that you are just in the look for one concrete opportunity. For example, you want to be the European capital of culture, and that's your only need. So you don't need to invest in a whole reorganization of the city council. Just if the culture department is ready to go for the application, you will be in capacity of working with this ambition. So maybe you will hire someone, but just for the purpose of filling in the form, or as it is the European capital, maybe the lobby of the mayor will help the city to go through all the bureaucracy. So that's the only casual, only one, okay? You can make it in short term. You just saw a call and say, okay, let's go. Okay, that's the first. The second, by topic. So you identify that you have a big priority with several projects. I don't know, urban mobility, for example. Okay, and you need someone working in a European project on the roads, another one working in the bicycles, and another one just inviting people to walk again in the streets. Okay, so here you have to raise the capacity, and you will have to search for several projects. One alone won't do all the work that you intend to do. But as it is very specific to one topic, let's say, as I said, urban mobility, you can choose just to train your urban mobility service in European Union affairs, and you don't need a specific big with, I don't know, 6 persons European Union's department, okay? You can use your own talents and train to the specific opportunities of your specific priority. Or you can just have one EU advisor that will help the urban mobility department to go through the European Union red tape, okay? So it's better to anticipate, and you know your priorities, so you will anticipate, but you can also jump in an opportunity. And the all-in is the ideal that you will see many times recommended in literature. Okay, when I work with cities, some have the impression that they must go with all the departments and all the planning European Union. It's a possibility, but you have the other two, okay? And the best moment to do that is when the new mayor arrives or when a new plan is approved. So you are planning like in line by line and saying, okay, line 1, urban mobility, you have to go to the Civitas opportunity, Urbat has some funding, etc. Priority 2, and you say the same. So you are actually writing your plan with a part which is European Union opportunities or policies that are related to our priorities. As it is all in, the first EU representative is the mayor. The mayor has to be at the top of your EU affairs with other councillors that are also hands in, and you need a complete EU affairs team because as all the council is involved, the level of requirements is very high. You will have many times happening at the same time. And of course, if the mayor is at the top, the EU advisor has to be at the cabinet.
Thank you, Tamara. And I think this is a very important insight for all of us, because during our previous lectures this week, there was this question, oh my God, there is so much in this European integration for local level. So how to start? Yes, shall you start with environment or with, I don't know, social policy or whatsoever? And here you give a very concrete recommendation to look into your priorities first, right? So
Yeah.
that you have to know what you actually need and then look for solutions on the European level. But do you know of any like methodologies of how to compare your priorities with this EU level strategies? How better approach this?
Yeah, we are going to see a tool in a moment, but the idea is that you will be you, the EU advisor, the city, the personal trainer, okay, you spending some time searching the European Union opportunities. And I speak about opportunities and not about funding. So you will search for the European Parliament committee that works on your topic, or the Committee of the Regions committee that works on your topic. And then you will go to European Union databases of projects to see how other cities did the same. And you will participate in several international events. Now there are a lot of them which are online, so as to find new ideas. But that's the role of the EU advisor, to dive in the European Union website, Directorate General by Directorate General, saying, okay, maybe the Department of Justice does not seem the first door that you will open for environment, but there is a specific program that will fit our view on having access to environment to everybody. So there is a first part of research that must be made. And with the log frame tool that I will show in a couple of minutes, it will help to put the things in a clear way. So, who must be there? As I was saying, and just taking stock from what I have just said, the EU advisor. But the EU advisor, don't imagine that is a specific person with, I don't know, 7 languages, having spent 3 years in Harvard, okay? No, it is the internal entrepreneur. So you should identify if you have to hire, but normally you have one person that speaks English, that is very good researching, that has a way with people, and that wants to learn new things, to do new things, and that will know on time the European programs, which is really the characteristic that you have to look, is someone that can see the big picture. That's all you need for English. That's all you need for your EU advisor. You don't need an elephant with 7 legs. Soft skills, English, and wanting to learn and to do new things. That's your EU advisor. And of course the major and the councillors. But many opportunities come because the major is involved. And here the Portuguese cities are very good examples. Portuguese cities are everywhere. They are very small cities, and they will participate in the Committee of the Regions, in the committees of the parliaments, in any network that may accept them, and they go, even if they are small, they will be the president of important EU networks, so leading cities that are bigger than them. Why? Because the majors have the political legitimacy. They represent the city. In French, we have a verb which is incarner. So they are the bones of the city. And there is also opportunities for majors to get acquainted with other majors, like here in Cities for Cities and in the Committee of the Regions. So don't forget the major. And don't forget the city. And that was a sentence from one of the majors I work with in France. It was like, yeah, you are asking me to involve the city, but the city is more than the city council. And he was right. The city is more than the city council. I speak about noodle because I like to put simple words in more complex concepts, and you see it in the figure. So I don't know, the school can be part of the European Union strategy, the swimming pool, the sports team, the youth group of taking care of the environment. That will give political legitimacy, that will help you making sure that you can reach, for example, some calls that do not choose cities as partners, and you will be sure that you're still in your priorities, because people, it is the first priority. And it is also a way of working that will allow for brainstorming, for new ideas, for seeing things differently. And even some European calls will require you to work with your stakeholders even before opening the form. So remember, you have to eat some noodles before writing your European Union application.
Thank you, Tamara. And usually we have in our online course people who are in charge of European integration projects, international cooperation, and working with them daily as part of Cities for Cities, we very often hear that such specialists feel very lonely. So it's like they have their own bird language, no one else understands around. How would you help them? So how far should the knowledge about EU integration come within different departments, within the city per se, different institutions, to help them really fulfill their duties? Because it seems like this is a person who does some work, actually the project may be supported, maybe not, then it's on this person to implement it, and it seems like this person is doing some extra, because project activities is not a regular work of a municipality. What would be your advice in this case?
Yeah, well, first of all, my solidarity, because I've been alone for a long time, and I understand the feeling. And what helped me most was when I could reach the noodles of the cities I work for. When I started to work with Urbit and I was speaking my work to policemen, teachers, the person behind the youth problems, try to work with the actual people who is in the grounds, and share even a coffee, I don't know, share the project with them. Because if not, that's true that we feel alone and disconnected from reality, and it doesn't help filling in the forms afterwards. That's kind of disadvantage of the work of an EU advisor. And speak to politicians also. I mean, as I said, the soft skills of the EU advisor are the one of the first things to work in. So the expertise, it is clear that is very specific, that is not very translatable into a coffee, but the EU advisor has to reach out and provide for opportunities. I don't know, to invite the colleagues that understand English to a virtual meeting that the EU advisor is invited to, or to create work of youth with actual youth, young people that provides an exchange with another school. It can be done virtually. So try to create like an EU mood in the city. As I said, the EU advisor is a figure, okay? It can be the person that you have already in the team. You can hire an external person, or you can say, okay, the part of the forms is for Maria, which is a machine making forms, but the part of the negotiation goes to Andrea, who is a very good speaker of English. Okay, so EU advisors don't imagine that you have to hire a Harvard consultant. It can be a team. It can be a person you already have, and you should invest at least time in training, clear cut the responsibilities. As I said, here the form, here the negotiation, etc. Work on coordination, and this will lower the sensation of red tape of the European Union proceedings, and ensure that you have a sound quality system. The first step, taking, I don't know, a random, if you're starting from scratch, a random call that you find in the internet, it will have a part where they state which are the quality requirements, okay? And you start from there. Is it compatible or not? Training in EU procedures like this training, and you can also rely on the national responsibles for EU funding and request to participate in training or request from them to train. You learning by doing, and starting by small programs and then going to big programs. Okay, so next.
Tamara, we also have a question in the chat, which I would like to voice actually. As you know, in Ukraine, because of wartime, some of the municipalities don't have acting mayors in positions, but the heads of local military administrations. That means that they are not like political representatives, they are the representatives of the executive power that are embedded locally to fulfill the objectives of the government on this territory. This is usually the territories which are close to front line, or or difficult circumstances. So who you think, and this is the question, should in this case represent municipality politically with regard to EU cooperation projects whatsoever, because the municipalities may have the secretaries of the local councils which are elected, or the deputy mayors who are kind of partially political but partially executive. Is there like the common conception that this should only be a mayor, or any other personalities here could also fit?
No, I mean, that's for the EU advisor. The mayor is an entity that can have many heads. And for example, in France, they always choose vice mayor for international relations. And if it is a very big city, they have a vice mayor for international relations, a vice mayor for European Union affairs, and a vice mayor for European Union programs. So no, the political person who is in charge of the topic. And if the political person who is in charge of the topic is not available, you may rely on the noodle also. I don't know, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, or the leader of the youth association, for example, who will represent the city in a youth project. Remember that we work like in a team. So, of course, the mayor, but the mayor in large terms. It hasn't. Don't take my word as okay. If you don't have the mayor, you cannot go. It's not, of course, the case. Think political responsibility, or even political involvement, political motivation, etc.
Thank you. Now coming back to the system of managing projects in the City Council. I would ask the next slide, please.
Yeah, so building a bit on the question on how to choose the priorities, there is another thing that cities have to ask themselves is where I'm better at. So where do I have the better project management skills? I'm speaking about the capacity indicator, okay? Where do I have more room for moving funds around, because sometimes you have to advance the funding, and this will translate on the skills, the EU project skills that you have to find in your EU advisor or EU advisor team. So the project management, we are going to see the log frame in a minute. A person or a team who is good with financial skills. Andrea was speaking about who speaks a very good English and is very sympathetic, and the time of research for finding funding. So here in the slides you will have several phases of project. I will read them, so they will be translated into Ukrainian, okay? You have a project preparation phase where it is many times requested to work with the stakeholders, with the noodle. You will have like a first part of initiation, so you will have some time to adapt your system to the project requirements once it is funded. And then you have the actual implementation of the projects divided in work packages. Work packages is the European word for have an objective which is declined in an action, and the action is declined in activities, and I will measure it with X or seed proof. That's a work package, okay? And
Thanks.
at the end you have the closure.
Thank you, and I would also like you to stop a little bit with these negotiation skills, because for Ukraine, I mean, accessing EU funds already now, and we don't want to be too much wishful for the future. Yeah, we already want to do something now. You usually need to have partners to apply this projects, and of course, because of war, because we have limited resources in Ukraine for regional and local development, many municipalities are looking at EU opportunities as an opportunity basically to involve resources, but EU programs are linked, of course, to EU priorities, and here we sometimes have this dilemma that, for instance, Ukrainian city wants to, to repair the pipeline somewhere in the municipality, and they want to apply for Interreg program with a Polish city, let's say. But at the same time, I multiple time heard from Ukrainian project managers that European partners often do have completely different priorities. I mean, one of the cities who wanted to apply this project with the pipeline could hardly find what to repair in their partner Polish municipality, because everything has been already repaired with EU funds, with other funds, and they were looking in absolutely different dimension. So what would be your recommendation? How to be successful in these applications already now, or shall we maybe wait and look for other resources locally and repair all our pipelines and then think more globally about, EU priorities? What would be your recommendation here?
Well, in short, all, but I will explain a bit more. But first, Interreg is not forecasted for infrastructure, and that's a problem that we have also in other parts of Europe. For example, in the southern part of Europe, we have a problem of connection with the European Union, and that's the main problem that avoids economy to progress, and Interreg is not the solution. So the why can be very tricky. And the first thing, as you said, look elsewhere. Look elsewhere inside. Well, do I have other projects that I can go to the European Union for, and then I will move my budget so to build the pipeline? Oh, that's the first. Inside, your why. Your why. Do you actually need the European Union for what? And the second is looking to other programs. For example, in Horizon, at one time you will have the opportunity to be an experimental city, so that you will have funding for infrastructure, because they will be looking for a smart pipeline. So the problem is that we as cities are used to go to the structural funds only, and the need is for some research to be done in parallel opportunities. And three, there are other international funding that will be more adequate. So first, look internally if you can just switch the priority that is better funded with the priority that is not so funded, and then look for different opportunities outside the cohesion funds. And of course, lobby for the next period. And okay, so that's a recapitulation for a beginner administration. Okay, I have said this several times all along, but for you to have like the 6 starting points. Assign responsibility. So identify your EU advisor or EU advisor time or team or EU advisor hire. Map your weak points. Okay, we need someone to speak English. That's the first weak point, for example. Train the team, and with training I'm understanding also the research, and now it's a quite complicated time to do the research because European Union is changing the priorities for the next periods, but it doesn't change that much. Start to work with paperwork. As I said, look for calls, even if they are not open now. In the calls you will see the requirements, create an internal control system and an internal communication system between the political level, the administrative level, and the city as a whole. And then once you have this communication system, you can build coordination. Okay, so that's your 6 starting points when you start from scratch, and once you have identified your why. Okay, next. The famous.
Yes, just to clarify about the internal control, because actually as part of Ukrainian EU integration obligations, we actually need to build the systems of internal financial control in municipalities. Could you say a bit more in detail of how this should be built? Can it be hired somewhere outside the municipality, or it's still better to have it inside as a separate department?
That's a quite complex question, because for structural funds, many times the systems for control come from the national level. If I speak about the French case, and I want to speak about the French case, France has imposed on the French regional and local authorities a very extreme system of control. We have the control of the accountants inside the authorities. We have a first level of control, which is on the national representation for each province, and then we have a second level of control at the national level. So it will depend on how Ukraine negotiates that with the European Union and internally, because this extreme example of France does not exist, hopefully, everywhere. And the idea is to be ready and think, okay, if I have to work with a system where each invoice should be accompanied with an activity report, what do I need? That's the first step, the idea of thinking like the person who is going to control me. And then in France, this extreme system is supported by specific training for the local and regional authorities. But I cannot advise for a very concrete system, because it will depend on internal rules and in the negotiation of the structural funds. Okay, so the famous log frame, that's the cheat way of writing an European project. Okay, you won't see it like that. This is from a European Union form, but many times the forms are not exactly like that, but it will help you thinking in European language. Because you will have this in all the parts of the form. So you will see it in line by line spread, but the idea is the logical framework, which is a system for projects in general, not only in the European Union, but other international funding organizations will work like that. So first, your big goal, I don't know, reducing the rate of people that does not have water at home. That's the big goal. And the concrete goal will be repair the water pipelines, and then you will create a specific objectives on this way of thinking your city. What do you have as a means? What do you need? Which are the concrete results that you want to reach? How you are going activity by activity, step by step, reaching your goal. How you are going to verify that you are in the good way. If you are not in the good way, how you are going to change your activity so as to be as effective as possible. Which is the context? That's the part of important assumptions of prerequisites. I don't know. The European Union approves the project. That's the first prerequisite, for example. And once you have this structure, you will be in position to fill in the form of the European Union, or I don't know, the United Nations, for example. There are many manuals of this available in the internet, so if you want to self-train or to train your staff, tell them to look for this kind of ideas. Sorry, next. As I said, self-training, some ideas. Okay, you will have the website Portico, and which is the most known place to be, and the platform for European cities to connect to each other, to see who is doing what, to find experts, to ask for help in a question. I'm a kind of geek, so I compare it to Reddit. Okay, you will have threads about questions, you will have documents, and for creating your EU advisor or EU advisor team, it's a very good opportunity. Another opportunity which is less known but will help to build this team and to make the EU advisor feel less alone is Salto. Salto is normally addressed to youth policy, but there are many events that are open to the youth associations. Others are open just for people who want to start in EU projects. So look at Salto, because Ukrainian actors are also eligible, and the travel expenses are covered. So that's a very important initiative to find partners, to learn directly from people who is involved in European projects, and to think out of the box. I really like Salto. I learned a lot with it. Another program that I find very interesting is Urbect, because it has this approach of first step in European Union. You cannot do infrastructure, that's for sure, but you will learn with other cities how to deal with problems, and sometimes just not feeling alone is a good first step in urban policy. And Urbat has also a lot of material in the website, in the YouTube channel. They make a university every 2 years, and as a reference to learn, it's the place to be in urban affairs. And then you have what I call EU weeks. It can be EU week, EU day, EU info day. You will have many opportunities for virtual learning, networking, information, etc. And as I said, make not only the EU advisor go virtually to these events, but the team that you want to be involved in your European strategy. Okay. So here we see more or less which is Portico. You have many sections. I stopped in operational topics because I'm a pragmatic person, but you can find good practice, you can have the reports of how it was actually done. They will show the calls that are open, and even there are urban partner search facility inside. So it's, I don't know, I'm old, so I will say it is the European Cities Facebook, okay, for simplifying things.
Thanks, Tamara. I would admit I searched through this platform and really haven't heard about it before, although I work with EU integration and projects for quite a while. And I would also like you to, because Portico is basically linked to European Urban Initiative, and Ukrainian municipalities are not eligible so far before Ukraine enters the EU, but still it's a very important initiative in the European Union that deals with local development. Could you tell just briefly a little bit more of what it is and like if there is a way to follow it or to participate in some specific activities, just a general overview I think would be really very helpful for all of us here.
Yes. Well, first of all, Ukrainian cities are eligible to Urbact. And Urbact is about exchanging experiences. So to identify partners, or to identify the language that should be used, or to identify the state of the art, you will find many things in Portico already. And the idea of Portico is to have all information at the same place. So that's a practical Wikipedia of EU urban policy. And that's the first. Second, you cannot participate in the European Urban Initiative programs, but you can be part of the conversation. And that will be strategic to start being part of the conversation now, before that you are eligible, than when you will be in the rush to fill in the forms and participate in the European projects. You have to make friends now, and you have to understand how it goes now. So Portico is your handbook on EU urban policy, organized by as I see in my slide, operational topics, for example. And you can be seen also. Be seen as as a first city that did X thing. And that's also a strong point to find afterwards partners that want to learn from you. So think of Portico today not as a way to find direct funding, but to prepare to find partners, to be in the conversation, to be accurate in your proposal, etc. So up. So, how did I switch my point of view from city diplomacy to urban diplomacy? We were speaking later. As a reminder, city diplomacy, think global, act local, and urban diplomacy, think local, act global. Because of Óbidos. Óbidos is a very, very small city of Portugal. And one day they decided to go all in and to completely align their city strategy with the European Union opportunities. We are going to see how in a minute. And they started by doing a SWOT analysis, as you surely know, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And they did it about their main priority. Óbidos was a cultural city, they wanted to be a creative city, and they did have a very good kind of perspective, which was, okay, we cannot do it alone. And they were very realistic about how the national level, I want to speak about regions in Portugal because they are administrative, but how the national level was covering or not covering their needs. And sometimes even the national level was a problem, because the idea of the national level was to develop Óbidos as a sleep city where people from big cities went just to sleep, and Óbidos wanted to have a life by themselves. So the decision was to mainstream, remember this magic word, and they started leading an urban project. So you have a 10,000 inhabitant city leading 8 cities all around Europe and managing an almost million budget for the European Union. And then you have a design which is made by the vice mayor. As I said, the mayor is not always the big mayor, but the person which is politically in charge of the topic. And when I saw that, I said, okay, you don't have to be Frankfurt to have an international strategy, and it works. So next, they decided to fully integrate EU policies and the urban planning. So they already have a very compact urban planning, which is we want to be a creative city, so everything will be aligned with this creative city. And then second step, going for all the creative opportunities of the European Union. The mayor was involved, and he personally participated in the urban meetings. For example, the vice mayor was on the writing part of the reports and the negotiations, and they created a small EU team inside the administration, but from their civil servants, and they also look for other organizations in the city that may join the same stream. The Urbact program has an advantage, is that you have an Urbact expert for you, and they identify the contact points in key departments. And inside Urbact, you have another thing, is that you have to gather your local action group, which is a noodle, which is your group of stakeholders. So Urbat was kind of a stepping stone for the mainstreaming of European strategies. And then we can see it in the next slide. They realize how to identify, okay, one need, one opportunity, one need, one opportunity.
Thank you, Tamara. Let's maybe take Urbact as a practical example, because it's really impressive that a small municipality could lead the consortium of partners, and of course it requires capacity. So could you name, like if Ukrainian municipality, for instance, wants to join the Urbact call, which is actually ongoing. Yeah, so it's another call that Ukrainian municipalities can apply until June. So what capacities do they actually need to be an ordinary partner? Because Ukrainian municipalities cannot be a lead partner so far, but they could join like consortium of bigger group of cities, right, municipalities led by another European municipality. What is like the basic recipe, like the basic analysis? What capacities you need specifically to participate in Urbact?
Okay, well, if the mayor of Obidos has come to me and asked me if they could be lead partner, I would say no. So I was the first surprise saying, okay, if they can. And that's true that Urbat is a very good step for starting in European projects, because there is a learning process involved. So what do you need? A local action group, but you will complete it in the go. A clear necessity, so a clear why you're here. What do you want? What are your problems that will be solved with Urbex? And a real implication. I mean, don't do it for the sake of doing. Well, you can if you want to test European Union funds, but the idea is that you have to be sure that you want to be involved, because you will have to work with an expert. You will have many meetings inside the city and outside the city. So a real implication. English, of course, to read and fill in the forms. And a LinkedIn profile,
course,
for
right?
example, to find partners and try to access a lead partner. You have a partner search tool in the Urbat web page. You have a partner search tool for other programs, but it will be useful to find people that works in your question. In Portico, you have in Interreg, you have the database of all the projects of Interreg all the story of Interreg in KEEP, KEEEP, so you can find partners there. And there is an info day on the 12th of May, which is virtual. There was one forecasted yesterday for Ukraine, but I didn't find the link, so I don't know what happened there. And also in the Urbat website, you will find other Ukrainian cities that work in Urbat already, so speak to them to find some tips. And you have national contact points. Marta, if you don't have them, I will send them to you after the course
Tamara,
ends.
I really want to add on this info day which happened yesterday, because our colleague was there also taking part. For those of you who follow, Vinnytsia Regional Development Agency has become the contact point for Urbact in Ukraine, and it was like an info day that they arranged dedicated to the ongoing call. So now we know that if we have questions regarding applications to Urbact, we could always contact Vinnytsia Regional Development Agency, and there they should actually help us in our applications. Really, I would also like to stress how important it is to have partners with experience. So there is this prejudice that if my city has, I don't know, 10 city partners all over the world, that maybe we could all gather together and apply for Urbact project, but this is not really the case, at least not to extent that all these municipalities could really have similar priorities, could find similar topic. So it's always better to join the consortium of partners who is already established and which is around the topic which is of interest to my municipality. And a really very inspiring case of the Portuguese municipality. Please write in the chat your reflections and also questions to Tamara. If you have them, so we will try to put them all.
Okay. I may show just the last slide so as to show how it works, this mainstreaming, okay? And as I said, I will read it in English so it can go for translation. So they identified two main European programs for their creativity city: the structural funds and Comenius Regio, which today would be Erasmus, okay? In these structural funds, they identified the concrete programs that would work, and they proposed a concrete project for each of them. For example, a network of creative economies, so finding, as Marta was saying, cities working in the same structures. And for Comenius Regio, it was a program on building capacity in creativity, so they were working with the Italian region of Reggio Emilia. And the Technopole, which is a facility for technical enterprises to thrive with an incubation space, was also funded by Interreg. So the idea, in fact, it is put from left to right, but you as a city will write the other way around. You will find first your needs. We need to make a new school. You will translate it into European projects. You will find the priority, because there was that priority at the time. Interreg and the structural funds had infrastructure priorities so you find the priority and then you identify the big program. So that's your city needs, your whys, how to call them EU projects, how to find funding for them. That's I was explaining as aligning or mainstreaming or so on. But keep in mind, it was a very, very small city in Portugal that did that. Okay, thank you very much, and I'm open to your questions.
Thanks a lot, Tamara, and we encourage our participants also to place the questions in the chat. While you are thinking about the question you want to write, I would ask Tamara the question which I now have in mind. Of course, you mentioned different aspects of building capacity in the municipality, and of course it depends on the model you take and all this thing, but in the end these are also very, very concrete pieces of knowledge that you need to incorporate in your heads in the project department. And one of the issues is of course procurement. We know that EU has certain regulations regarding procurement that has to be followed. Of course, different national governments incorporate these EU standards regarding procurement differently in the national legislation, but at the same time there are common standards that has to be followed. Does there exist any common manuals on how to make procurements according to EU rules? And like where to search for such information? Is it just the national law that has to be followed, or you could have some handbooks and manuals to consult with?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke about the French case, which is the extreme. So for those that they speak French, go to the French rules. You will have the top of how to make procurement complicated, and then you will have the highest standard of procurement rules. But Marta, you're right. It will depend on national application of the EU rules. And normally programs as Interreg, for example, will have a dedicated part. The thing that you can do is to ask for training from the programs on the procurement rules. I mean, the first is to really know the actual rules of the European Union. That will be your baseline to start to identify if you are online or not. And for example, the requirement that comes to mind is transparency, and that's the tricky one because it has to be put through even before the actual call for procurement goes out. So it will depend on the amount that you're going to procurement, but even in France, for example, even if the amount does not require public presentation of the request, the control level will ask for this public presentation. So more than a manual, first start working on the principles that conform the procurement philosophy. And the first to work is transparency. Do I have sufficient means of communication that can ensure that my procurement request is seen as transparent? Because it's not only the website of the city that can ensure that the publication is transparent enough. So do I use social media? Do I use the local press? Do I use the national press? First step, I'm going to be as transparent as possible.
That's really very useful advice. Yeah, so it's not only like the digital platform where you do the procurement, where you should place the tender proposal, but you should really take effort to promote it via all available means that you and your municipality have to ensure that the maximum number of proposals are there for your tender. And I would also say that we have not really questions, but a discussion going on in the chat. You don't know Ukrainian, so I will just summarize for you that people say that in fact in Ukraine we do have a lot of experts that know something about EU-funded projects, and sometimes just municipalities are not eager to involve these people into their work with projects, and for that, like, we have multiple of reasons, because of salaries in municipalities which are lower than in the market, that civil servants in municipalities are still not able to receive bonuses or salaries from EU funded projects, and it seems like it's an easy solution to go to a big agency that will write a project instead of you, do the nice application, will follow all the rules, implement the project, and all should be fine. Is this really like a good solution, or really it's better to develop your capacities inside the municipality and inside this city council, let's say?
Can we do both? I mean, if the city has the means to hire an agency and they hire them, sorry if there is an agency on the room, and they can learn the process with the agency, and the second project they do by themselves. I mean, that's one solution also. Another solution, of course, you train your people, and then when your staff is eligible, you will improve their salaries. That really depends on the city strategy, vision, time. If they want to go into the European Union, maybe it is better to go for the agency because the work needs some external help. As I said, the EU advisor is not a strict form of a person, team, juridical, legal position. I'm a bit of conflict of interest here because I work as an expert for Urbit and I work as a consultant for cities, so it's like, don't hire me. Well, but if you need it and if it's a cost-efficient decision, but go with more ambition than the sole project. Hire the agency not only to write your first project, but to train your people to do the second. That's, if I was working for a major that put me this question, that would be my answer.
Thank you, Tamara. And just for as a final mark in our conversation, I would just really like to read one of the comments of our participants who says, "Thank you for this deep approach and very good presentation. That EU-funded projects is the way to making to equal opportunities where small municipalities can lead the consortiums of big European projects, and then it's a great motivation for all the people who are involved in EU-funded projects in implementing local strategies in this project approach to work further. So thank you a lot for your lecture today, and you're always welcome to Cities for Cities training courses, since our audience is so happy with your presentation. And I will remind that Tamara will still join us in 2 weeks when we will have another lecture dedicated to building international image of municipality, and we will still have opportunity to see Tamara and to exchange on this important topic. Дякую нашій спікерці. Я хочу також подякувати нашим учасникам, які регулярно доєднуються до наших курсів. Ми бачимо, що з нами є учасники, які проходять всі наші курси. Це вже 5-й чи 6-й курс, і ви досі з нами. Це додає нам натхнення. Дякуємо вам. Зустрінемося вже наступного тижня. Наступного тижня будемо вивчати не лише теорію, але й переходити до практики. Як ми вже анонсували, будемо мати кейси муніципалітетів 3 європейських країн. Це Латвія, Польща та Румунія, наших найближчих сусідів. Будемо говорити про стандарти, пов'язані з навколишнім середовищем, з захистом навколишнього середовища, енергоефективністю, роботою комунальних підприємств, але все з фокусом теж на проєктне управління, на те, як ці стандарти Європейського Союзу можуть бути інкорпоровані у проекти, які реалізовуються на місцевому рівні. Дякуємо вам за сьогоднішню зустріч і до зустрічі вже наступного тижня. Побачимось!